What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm back in another video. This time we'll look at some of the worst takes from 2021 regarding Giannis Antetokounmpo. As you guys know, Giannis won his first championship this year with the Milwaukee Bucks. Throughout the entire year, there were some awful Giannis takes during the playoffs, before the playoffs, as well as after the playoffs. And today, we're going to spotlight those takes and look at the worst Giannis takes of 2021. So with that being said, let's look at our first clip from Speak For Yourself with Emmanuel Acho. In this clip, he's going to argue Giannis can't be the face of the NBA because he's a foreign-born player.
Is I would love for my dog Giannis, that face, to be the face of the NBA. No, not possible for him to be the face of the NBA.
You?
Yeah, it's not possible, Selin. Why is it not possible? You can't be the face of the NBA if they can't pronounce your last name.
My name is Giannis Antetokounmpo.
The face of the NBA must be relatable. LeBron James. We know LeBron James' mama, know his mama's name. We know his wife, we know the kids' names. We know Bronny, we know Bryce, we know Zuri. We know the characters' names from the Space Jam. We know all them cats. Kobe, the late, great Kobe Bryant.
Respect.
We knew Kobe Bryant. We knew his upbringing. We knew why he knew so many different languages. We played at Lower Merion High School. We knew his high school jersey number. We knew he repped the 3-3. Knew he was from PA. We knew all that. We know Giannis's mama name? I do.
What's her name? Put it up.
Veronica.
Veronica?
The only thing stopping Giannis from being the face is the fact that he's not American.
You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
Like, we got to call a spade a spade. I don't think
That's
that
not it.
Luka would be the face either, because I think it comes down to how much have we known you and followed you for forever.
Now, that short minute-and-a-half clip was very hard to watch for many reasons. I think his points were not valid at all when it comes to Giannis. And the first point he made is that Giannis' name isn't recognizable to many NBA fans. Which I think back in 2013, you could make that case, but now in 2021, Giannis is a household name, and basically everyone knows how to say his name. It's not that hard, he simply goes by Giannis now. And even the name Antetokounmpo is recognizable to even the most casual NBA fan. So the name argument really makes no sense and is not valid when saying Giannis can be the face of the NBA. Now the second point he made is that Giannis is not American, and that holds him back from the face of the NBA. Which once again, I really don't understand. Giannis at this point is a recognizable superstar and arguably the best player in the NBA. And I think when you look for a face of the NBA, the ideal person is respectful, humble, and a champion. Giannis checks all through those boxes, and where he's born or where he grew up has no bearing on his relatability to NBA fans in the US or worldwide. Now next up, we have Kendrick Perkins, one of the best analysts currently at ESPN, and his take is that Giannis is the Robin to Chris Middleton's Batman.
All right, Middleton going off. So, Perk, what did Middleton prove last night?
What I've been preaching time and time again, that he's the Batman of this team and Giannis is the Robin.
Okay.
What is he talking about?
What did he say? Do you know what he said? What did he say?
And look, it's okay to be the Robin. People think that's a bad thing. It's not. Okay, we all know that Giannis is a guy that could dominate the paint. He could get to the paint when he wants. But when it matters the most, we have seen time and time again that Giannis freezes up in the big moments.
Oh my. Oh no. Okay, everyone off the floor. Let's go. Traffic, let's go. No, Jack.
It appears a line has been crossed.
This is why you're sitting in Max Kellerman's seat, because you probably wasn't even watching the game of basketball. Okay, last night watching the game, because if you were watching the game, then you can't sit up here, come here this morning and say, oh no, Chris Middleton don't look like the Batman. Chris Middleton don't look like the more skilled player. Chris Middleton don't look like he embraces the moment.
And Giannis Antetokounmpo with a legendary performance indeed. 50 points, 14 rebounds, 5 massive blocks. Giannis's 50 points are tied for the most in a finals clinching win.
When it was time to guard Kevin Durant in Game 7, you know who was checking Kevin Durant? It was Chris Middleton. You know who was delivering buckets on the other end in the fourth quarter going toe-to-toe with KD? It was Chris Middleton. Giannis didn't check KD one time throughout the whole entire series.
Now that take right there is wrong on so many levels. Let's establish one thing very quickly. Chris Middleton is a very good, if not great player, depending on the night, and he's a very solid all-star and a very solid second option to Giannis. Giannis is one of the best players in the world, one of the top 1% of NBA players. Chris Middleton is not on his level, and he's not better than Giannis, whatever context you want to give. And the whole argument that Giannis is a Robin of Chris Middleton's Batman, simply because Giannis isn't that great in the clutch, really makes no sense, because Giannis in the entire game is better than Chris Middleton on both ends of the floor. And yes, Middleton makes some big time clutch shots, but even Giannis in the clutch is pretty darn good. Now Perkins in this clip also brought up Game 7 versus Brooklyn and the fourth quarter of that game, and he heavily implied Giannis was carried by Middleton in that fourth quarter as well as OT. But Giannis in that fourth quarter and OT had 9 points on 80% shooting. Middleton in his own right had 13 points on 50% shooting, and Jrue Holiday had 9 points on 43% shooting. I also want to add Giannis had the 2 game-tying baskets in both the fourth quarter as well as OT. So comparing all the 3 players, all 3 of them were very good in the clutch as well as in the fourth quarter of that Game 7. And acting like Middleton was far and away the best player late in that game is simply not true when comparing him to Giannis. And sticking with this series, if you look at fourth quarter scoring versus the Nets, Giannis averaged 7.7 on 53% shooting, Middleton averaged 5.7 on 38% shooting, and Jrue averaged 4 points per game on 41% shooting. So once again, Giannis in the fourth quarters definitely did his part, and he was equally as good, if not better, than Middleton and Holiday. And the narrative that Giannis isn't a good clutch time player simply has to end right now, just because he can't shoot threes or step back jumpers when it comes to late game situations. Now the last point I want to make once again, look at Giannis in the big time moments. And look at this entire playoff run, in the closeout games or the elimination games, he was fantastic. He played 4 games, with the Bucks winning all 4. In those games, he averaged 35 points per game, 14.0 boards, 6.3 assists on 58% shooting. He was phenomenal in the biggest games for Milwaukee season, and in their biggest game, he had a miraculous 50 points in Game 6 of the Finals. So the whole notion that Giannis isn't a clutch player and doesn't show up has to end right now, as in 2021, he was big time in the clutch. Now moving on from Perkins, we have Colin Cowherd. In his clip, Cowherd gives his 10 best players in the playoffs after the second round.
I don't have Giannis in my top 10 most valuable. I'll give you my list. Tell me where I'm wrong. Joel Embiid. Say what you want. He's the closest thing we have to Shaq. He's the closest thing we have to Shaq. He's the closest thing we have to Shaq. Now, where's Giannis on this? Where do you want me to put Giannis? And I'm not anti-Giannis, but where do you want me to put him in terms of value? Late in games, none of these players late in games I feel are a liability. Giannis is, with 4 minutes to go.
So as you saw in that clip, Cowherd had Giannis outside of his top 10, behind Embiid, Devin Booker, Trae Young, Jokic, Kyrie, Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, Chris Paul, Kawhi, and KD. But the one thing in this video I want you guys to see is that Colin Cowherd calls Joel Embiid the modern day Shaq. And if you guys know Shaq, late in games that mattered most, he was not the big time shot maker. That was Kobe. And the critiques Cowherd gives to Giannis, you could easily apply to Shaq. And why I bring this up is because when you look at Cowherd's all-time top 10 players list, he had Shaq at the number 8 spot. A guy who can't create his own shot, can't be effective late in games, he had as the 8th best player of all time, notably ahead of his teammate Kobe Bryant, one of the most clutch players in NBA history. Also on his list, he had Wilt Chamberlain as well as Bill Russell, 2 guys who weren't known for their late game shooting ability. So when Cowherd critiques Giannis on his clutch time play and he can't be effective late in games, he doesn't apply the same logic to guys like Shaq or Bill Russell, guys he has as top 10 players over Kobe, one of the most effective late game players in NBA history. And even if you look at the stats for Giannis in the clutch, last 5 minutes a game within 5 points, he was still fantastic, averaging 3.7 points per game on 59% shooting with a plus minus of plus 3.4. And comparing Giannis' clutch stats versus the other players, he ranked 4th out of that list, ahead of Embiid, CP3, Devin Booker, James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Kyrie, and Kawhi when it came to clutch time scoring. And even looking past the stats, as a basketball player, Giannis is so much more valuable than some of those guys on the defensive end as well as the offensive end. And out of the entire top 10, Giannis is easily the best defender out of all those players, and not having him top 5, let alone top 10, is simply idiotic. But I just wanted to point out Coward's flawed logic, as he has Shaq as the 8th best player ever, even though Shaq was a liability late in games, the same way Coward calls Giannis a liability and leaves him off his top 10 compared to the modern day players. Now last in this video, we have Steven Jackson. And Steven Jackson has a flaming hot take after Giannis won the championship.
What do you make of Giannis's comments that he could have gone to a super team to win a title, but instead chose to stay and do it the hard way?
It means a lot to him to stay and win it in Milwaukee, but he's on a super team.
No one laughed.
You got Drew Holiday, you got a closer in Middleton. He's the most dominant player that I've seen in a long time, and I got to give him his credit. But he has a closer. He has a closer. Same thing, just like Shaq had. Shaq was the most dominant, but he had a closer in Kobe. And you have Drew Holiday, one of the best defenders in the game. So don't make it seem like your team is just a whole bunch of D-leaguers. You know, you have one D-leaguer that's an all-star now. So you have a super team. You might not have super names and guys that's selling tennis shoes, but you have a super. But you have a super team. Don't diminish your teammates.
So that take by Steven Jackson is a good old case of revisionist history. And calling this Bucks team a super team, I don't even know where to begin with that. Nobody thought Milwaukee was a super team, and really nobody outside of Milwaukee thought the Bucks had a legit shot at winning the title. That is 100% revisionist history. And once again, Middleton is a great player, a very solid all-star, and Drew Holiday is arguably the best defensive guard. But those two guys paired with Giannis do not make Milwaukee a super team. They are not the 2017 Warriors, they're not the 2012 Heat. This team is a very good, very solid team, led by a superstar with two great complementary players. And even at the end of that video, he tried to suggest Giannis was downplaying his teammates, when Giannis is one of the most humble players in the NBA and always gives credit to his teammates, specifically Middleton and Drew Holiday. A terrible take by Steven Jackson, as he hasn't been the same since Kwame Brown.
And my mama's cooking.
So that right there is our last worst take, and that was the end of the video. Let me know your guys' thoughts, and as always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.